Hello, my loves. I am so excited. I'm like shimmying excited to have this first video in HCH and Heart Centered Heals. This is our first deep dive video, and we are talking about turning your passion into purpose. This video is a part of Hot Girl Summer, and Hot Girl Summer is all about stepping into that next level version of ourselves. It has nothing to do with our body, the BS stuff that Hot Girl Summer was originally about, or getting a guy. It's all about getting the life that we want. It's all about going towards our passions and using the momentum and the kind of masculine energy of summer, the inspiration that it gives us, the happiness and the light and the community that it gives us, and using those things to go after our dreams. So why I feel like this is super important is because for me, I really felt like there was something missing in my life until I found a purpose. Obviously, my purpose is what I'm doing right now. It's allowing women to see that there is a greater opportunity for the life that they have, that they can heal through dancing in a heel, that they can feel empowered by reclaiming their sexuality, by reclaiming their divine feminine energy. All of these things are my purpose, and my why is really to just support women in their journey to freedom, to success, to happiness. And I've always felt like, especially back when I was competing ballroom, I knew that dance was my purpose, but I didn't really feel passionate about it after a certain amount of time. I felt like it was something that I had to do. It kind of took the fun out of dancing for me. And when I discovered dancing in a heel and burlesque, I found my passion. I found my passion for women. And it gave me a purpose. It gave me a reason to wake up in the morning. And ultimately, like, why are you here in this membership? You're here to better your dancing, yes, but you're here to better your life. You're here to really step into the version of yourself that maybe you've always dreamed of but never knew was possible, and you're ready to take action on that. And so that's exactly what we're going to go through in this video. And I want to preface this by saying that your purpose does not have to mean starting a business, but that is a way that I have found purpose, is by kind of letting go of the typical 9-to-5 expectations of society and doing my own thing. And I also just want to show you that that's possible if it's something that's ever sparked your interest, or if you are maybe interested in not doing it full time but having a side hustle. I'm going to talk about all of that, but none of those are necessary. Really, it's all about integrating your passion and giving yourself a why. We all have a reason for being here on this planet, and it's just figuring out what that is and how that looks in our life, and how we are going to put that into our life in a way that serves ourselves and that serves the world as a whole. Just a little heart to heart here. I do not want you to just be comfortable in your life. I want you to be thriving. I want you to be happy and successful and uplifted and fulfilled. And that means finding purpose. That is the #1 way. Even if it means you're doing something like a creative passion that's just for fun and that's just for you and it lights you up. Or maybe that means volunteering and serving and helping. Or maybe that means creating your own business. Whatever it is, I want you to stop being okay with life just being okay. I want you to really expect more out of this life. We have one shot at this. We've got one shot at this beautiful experience on life, you know, as far as we know. And so I really want you to just soak it up, and I want you to have the best and most magical experience possible. And as you can see, I'm passionate about this. I'm passionate about my purpose, and I'm just passionate about women seeing that there's so much more than what society has told us that we're capable of. I feel like the messaging in the media has always just kind of giving us this one look at what's available, like this kind of cookie cutter life where we go to college, we find a job, we get married, we have kids, we grow old, we die. And to me, that is so depressing. Of course, I love a lot of those things, and I definitely want a lot of those things for myself, but that's not the end all be all. The most important thing to me is living a life that feels exciting and fun and good, and that I look forward to every single day. So I'm gonna give you all the practical tools on how to do that. I'm definitely gonna give you some journaling prompts. This is going to be a very hands-on video, so make sure you have a notebook, maybe some colorful markers nearby, and just start to discover through self-inquiry like why we're here. We are all here for a purpose. It's in our birth chart, it's in our cells, it's in our memory from ancestral past lives, whatever it is, it's there. And it's resonating in our bodies, or else we wouldn't be in this program, in this membership. And so I really want you to be honest with yourself, to maybe push yourself a little bit past what you previously expected, that would come out of some of these journal prompts, and really just be open to your intuition flowing through to what the universe wants to give you. And I promise it's going to light you up from the inside out. So the first question that I want you to journal on, to write down, is what currently lights me up in my life? Or what has lit me up in the past? So maybe it's not something that you're doing right now. Maybe it's something that you've done before and it made you feel incredible and lit you up. Or maybe it is something that you're doing right now and you wanna include a little bit more of it into your daily life. Go ahead and journal about 5 to 10 things right now that light you up in your life. Now I want you to go into how these things make you feel. Like, what emotions come up, what feelings come up for you right now when you are writing all of these things down and you see them on the page, these things that bring you so much joy. What are the feelings that they evoke? Go ahead and spend a moment and write that down. All right, so now that we're really clear what lights us up and how it makes us feel, because the feeling part is just as important as knowing what lights you up. Because if you're just doing something just to do it, but you don't know why you're enjoying it, you don't know what it gives you, it's kind of like, what's the point? And also it's really easy to fall off the wagon and not do it after a certain amount of time. So you have to come back to this why of why it makes you feel a certain way, how it makes you feel, in order to keep you inspired to do those things, okay? So the next step is going to be a little bit of an opposite question. What drains your energy? What sucks the energy out of you? What makes you feel really depleted? This can be relationships, this can be certain people, this can be your job, this can be your environment. Go ahead and just spend a moment and jot down some things that drain your energy. All right, my loves, your next question is a little bit similar to the question about what lights you up, but it's more about what makes you feel the most alive and expansive, and it has 3 parts to it, okay? So what are you doing? Number 1. Number 2, where are you doing it? I'm a very energetic person, so where I do the things that I love impacts my overall experience. So that's a really big part. And then also who you're doing it with. I cannot tell you how crucial this is, because if you're doing something that you love, but the people around you aren't supporting you, aren't lifting you up, they're not your community, they're not your hype people, they're more just like, again, draining your energy. It's really important to be aware of that. So what makes you feel most alive? What are you doing? Where are you doing it? And who are you doing it with? Now, this next question dives a little bit deeper into your passions and the things that light you up. I'm trying to give you a really broad list. That way you can combine a bunch of the different things that you love, maybe into one purpose, into one passion. That's kind of what I've done with CHM, with Studio Soli Luna. I combine heels, I combine burlesque, I combine spirituality, I combine yoga, I combine inner work and healing. I love traveling, so I really like to include nature and travel into my work as well. So what is it that you love in all different areas of your life? I want you to make a list of activities that you love, things that you love to do, projects that you like to work on. I want you to just get really broad for a second. And this list might be really, really long. Maybe it's you love trying new restaurants, or maybe it's you love having a glass of wine with a friend. I want you to just go into a huge list of anything that makes you happy. Like right now, I have my vision board next to me and I'm like, man, I love vision boarding. I love Pinterest. I love creating. Include all of those things. This might be 20 to 50 things, and that is totally fine. I just want you to see all the things in your life that bring you this joy and that bring you this happiness, because you can really combine it into something that's maybe incredibly unique, that's maybe something that the world doesn't have yet. You know, you just never know what can come out of it. Now that you have that list, I want you to look at it and pick out the things that really stand out to you. So maybe you circled sitting under a tree, you know, writing poems or something like that. I want you to circle just the ones that really stand out to you, or that when you wrote them down, there was like a nice little light, a nice little breath in your body when you wrote it down. I want you to just go ahead and circle those right now. And then my next question is, would you be interested in turning any of these into a career or a side hustle, or are they just for you? And this is important. There are passions that I have that are not part of my business, and I do them just for me. Not many, but my business, I am so passionate about it, and that's kind of why I've integrated dance into my business, because I do love it so much that I can do it for myself and I can also do it for my job. But I want you to be curious and really open with yourself. Have you ever wanted to turn your passions, these things on this list, into something where you make money, into something where it's your full-time career? Or is it just something that you want to keep for you, that's just something that you hold close to yourself, that makes you feel good, but you are very happy with the job that you have, with the life that you have already? Just go ahead and jot those things down and see what comes through. And then the next piece that I have for you is really asking you to get deep, to get clear, to get honest with what you want. And that is, what do you want your life to look like in 20 years, in 40 years, in 60 years? What do you want your life to look like? I feel like we often limit this idea, this concept, and we go to just what we've always kind of expected our life to look like. But what if we went beyond that? What if we were like, actually, I have so much more that I can do. I have so much more potential than I thought. Maybe just by looking at this list of things that you love and that light you up, maybe you see that you've been limiting yourself in some ways, and that there is so much more that you can offer this planet, that you can offer to your own life. So go ahead and just create kind of a vision of what you want your life to look like in 20 years with zero limits. The next piece is really looking to people to expand your awareness and inspire you. So one of the things that I've done in my life, I've kind of attached myself to mentors. So when I was dancing ballroom, I attached myself to as many mentors as possible to show me the path that I was on. And then when I transitioned to heels and burlesque, I had 2 mentors that really supported me on my journey. I looked to them to see what they were doing in their life, to see how they were using their passions as a career, as an outlet. And you can do the same thing no matter if you are using dance as your career and your passion, or if you are going towards something else. You can always look to people to see how they do things. It's not like you're copying them. It's not like you are taking their ideas or anything like that. That is not cool. But if you are really wanting to have a life like they have, what have they done? What have they done in their past? Like, so many people have their lives laid out, whether it's YouTube, books, Instagram. Start to dive deep into how these people created the life that maybe you want, and start to do those things. Start to follow kind of their blueprint of how they did it, because it worked for them. And even though our path is going to look completely different, we can still use those basics, those building blocks, to see how we can achieve those things in our life. For me, when I started my business, I attached to like 2 business mentors that I loved, and I have followed their blueprint, and it's worked for me. And so just starting to allow the inspiration of other incredible human beings, in addition to having your own unique perspective, your own unique take on whatever it is that you're going to be offering to the world. Or if you're just wanting to get better at something like an art, dancing, singing, whatever it is, you can look to people that have done that same thing and have used it as their creative outlet, and see how they've intertwined it into their life. The next piece of this video is the most important part, and that is your why. And I feel like so many people overlook this. They go straight to, how can I make money from a side hustle or a business, or how can I get more followers on Instagram? Those things are lifeless without your why. They are going to crash and burn. They are not going to be fulfilling to you in any way. What's important is your reason for turning your passion into your purpose, your why. My why is very, very simple. It's to help other women heal through dancing in a heel. And the reason is because that's how I healed my life. That's how I turned the life that I had, which was miserable and stuck and really painful, into this life of magic, of possibilities, of happiness, and of love. That's my why. It's because I want other women to see that that's possible for them. And dancing in a heel combined with spirituality is how I did that. So I want you to quickly just kind of write down a few sentences of what your why is. Why do you want to integrate more purpose into your life? The next question is definitely more for my business focused babes that are interested in having a side hustle or that are interested in turning their passions into a career. And even if you're not, why not be open to it? You know, why not be open to having a creative side hustle? Like, to me, I always want to tell women how empowering it is to not have to rely on like a 9-to-5, to not have to be stuck in this repetitive pattern if that's not what we want. And I feel like all the women that join this membership are wanting something a little bit extra from their life, or wanting something a little bit different. And even if that does not mean, you know, just like quitting your 9-to-5, which I don't recommend unless you have a game plan, even if that means just integrating something on the side that you can work towards. Something I've been thinking about doing in addition to Studio Solar Luna is making candles, right? I love pastel candles and tons of funky shapes like moons and suns and stars. And I think that is going to be a new creative outlet for me. My friend Roxy, she has a business called YDA, or Yoga for Dancers, and now she's also designing hats. So it's really interesting how you can start to discover more passions, learn more about yourself, and turn those things into something, whether it's a side hustle or just a creative pastime that you have, in order to achieve this happy, fulfilled life that we've always wanted. So my question for you is, what are you selling? What are you offering? From all of the things that you just wrote down on the page, what could you create out of those things? Maybe something's been stirring inside you and you're like, oh, I want to become a dance instructor, or I want to become a Pilates instructor, or I want to sell hats and make hats, or I want to create books and journals. Like, what is it that is lighting you up, that gets you really inspired? Maybe it's leading hikes in nature, maybe it's selling your art, whatever it is. What would you create? What would you offer or sell? What kind of product could you see coming out of all the things that you just looked at? Also specify if this thing is offered as like a physical product, or if it's an online service / like in-person service, or maybe it's a combination of both. The next piece is my favorite part of turning my passion into purpose, which was coming up with an energy for my brand, coming up with an energy for the things that I wanted to market and to sell, the creative projects that I was working on. Everything that I create, and you know this if you've been in more than one of my programs or offerings, is very pastel, it's very cosmic, it's very magical. I want to create that energy when people see my work. It's part of my creative expression, is creating this identity, this brand identity around the things that I offer. So how could you do that in your work? If that's like maybe artwork, if you're creating artwork, how could you make everything look the way that if someone saw your art, they would be like, wow, that's a piece by so-and-so, you know? Or if someone saw your videography or photography online, they would be like, wow, that's so-and-so's work, because you're so easily recognizable. And right now, that is required in order to, if you are turning your passion into a purpose purpose-filled brand or a purpose-filled product or service, you have to be recognizable. You have to be easily picked out of a crowd, because there are so many people doing this, exactly what I'm talking about, turning their passions into purpose. And so you want something that makes you feel really unique, really recognizable, and that kind of creates an energy around the service, product, or creative expression that you're offering. The next thing that I want you to look at is what social media platforms you could use to express your work, to express your business. Social media, have a love-hate relationship with it for sure, but it is the only reason that I'm able to sit here and do this with you, to talk to you, to meet all of you that I would have never met before if I hadn't utilized platforms such as YouTube and Instagram. Those are my two platforms of choice. I also utilize my email marketing and stuff like that, but those two are amazing, and highly recommend YouTube if you have any sort of like visual content brand. Instagram is great. It's definitely not my favorite because it is, again, really saturated with content, and I feel like a lot of times the things that really need to be seen aren't being seen. That's a whole other conversation. But I really want you to start to see how you could share what you're doing with the world. Obviously, if you're doing something that's just for you, this doesn't apply. But let's say you're a dancer and you want to get your dancing out there to maybe be hired by someone, or to maybe be part of a music video or a company or a performance experience. You need to be posting your stuff so that people can see you. Same thing if you're an artist, same thing if you're a singer, same thing if you're doing a business like I'm doing. You have to put yourself out there. You have to allow yourself to be seen, and social media is the best place to do that. So go ahead and write down which social media platforms you will be using for your work. The two biggest questions that you can ask yourself, especially around having a passion that is also a business, is, are you okay with being seen? And also, can you see yourself spending hours doing this? Because nothing is perfect. No passion, creative outlet, venture is perfect. And a lot of times people think if they do start a business or a side hustle that things are just going to be peachy keen. But no, I spend way more time on my business than I ever would in a 9-to-5 job. And also, I am very publicly being seen. So you need to kind of analyze how much you're okay with putting yourself out there, and also how much time you're willing to put into this, because that will determine if this should just stay kind of a creative project or if it can really be turned into your career. So there are several keys that if you do these, you will really be able to turn the passion that you have into purpose, into a career, into side hustle. And the first thing is intuition and self-discovery. I really want you to start listening to what your body's asking you, to what your intuition is asking you. That is how I knew that I was going to dance heels and burlesque and teach heels and burlesque, was through my intuition. That's how I knew I wanted to start Studios Lily Luna and Confidence and now Heart-Centered Heels, is because I listened to those intuitions. And I wouldn't have been able to do that if I wasn't in the process of self-discovery. So self-discovery, learning, trying new things, getting to know yourself at a deeper level. This program, this membership, is the way to do that. It's a way to learn who you are at your core so that you can start to express that on the outside, but doing things that maybe you wouldn't have tried in the past. So for me, I would love to take a pottery class. This is on, it's on my list. I love learning. I love learning about astrology and tarot and spirituality. I constantly am taking courses about business, about money, all the things that light me up and I'm interested in. I'm constantly discovering, I'm constantly learning how I relate to those things now and how I can transition that to have a better relationship with them in the future. So self-discovery, intuition combined is so incredibly important. Following the pings that you get from the universe, Lacey Phillips in her manifestation work calls them pings. And it's kind of, again, like this intuitive hit, but it resonates on a deeper level, right? And I feel like a lot of you coming into this membership have had these pings before, and you just don't know what to do with them. And that is why I'm giving you this kind of option to turn your passion into purpose, is because a lot of time those pings are signaling to us what the next step should be, but we don't know how to get there. And so I'm laying out the foundation for you so that you do have the tools to get there. But the most important thing is not ignoring those pings. It's not about saying, oh, maybe one day I will follow that, or, oh, that's not for me right now. It's really about listening to those pings and taking action. Immediate action, because usually what scares us the most is the first step. And once we get past that, once we listen to the ping and then take action, we just start rolling with it. We start rolling with that momentum. It gives us more magnetism to manifest the things that we want simply by taking really small steps to get there. Another important aspect of this, again, is allowing yourself to be seen. And I think if you are scared of being seen, ask yourself why, because there's a deeper meaning behind it. There's a deeper reason that maybe you need to unpack, do some inner child work, do some meditation and journaling on, because a lot of times those things are the things that are keeping us from achieving our goals. Is those limiting self-beliefs, is that thing that our elementary school teacher said to us, or that our coach said to us in volleyball, or I feel like that's from my own personal experience, but I feel like we take these things that are said to us, we take these things that we see in the media, and we are so afraid of being seen for fear of judgment from maybe those people that said those things to you, or from people in your life. We're afraid of making a mistake. We're afraid of not living up to these incredibly high standards that we set for ourselves. But if you just start allowing yourself to be seen, whether that's through people in your day-to-day life or whether that's through social media, whatever it is, you're gonna start to feel more comfortable and confident and empowered to stand in who you really are, versus this version of ourselves that we've either created from childhood or maybe our parents or friends or partners expected of us. But when we allow ourselves to be seen for who we truly are, that's when the magic starts to happen. The next key is, of course, making intentional plans and taking aligned action. We cannot achieve anything unless we make a plan and take action on that plan. And something I was talking about with a client the other day was like, oh, I thought I had to take these really big steps in order for it to be taking action. And that is just not the case. We need to take tiny, tiny steps every single day, so consistently, in order to achieve our goals. I've been consistently building my business for the last 2 years. I've been consistently dancing for the last 10 years. I've been consistently healing and working on myself for the last 4 years. Things take time, but if you try to do it all at once, a lot of times we just crash and burn. We burn out. So that's why it's important to make a plan that's actually achievable for you and start taking aligned action on that plan. If you have a passion that you are excited about creating a business or a side hustle with, your 3 main components are going to be creating, serving, and selling. If you're just creating for yourself, that's great. Or if you're just creating and serving, that's great. But if you do have a business and you do want to monetize the skills that you have, and you do want to live a purpose-filled life, you want to create something that is amazing and authentically you want to serve. Most importantly, the number 1 priority in your work should be giving and serving to others. And then the third aspect is selling. And I'm gonna go into this at some point in Heart Centered Heals, because selling can feel so icky and gross, but I really want it to feel empowering and exciting for you if that is the next step that you're taking. And it can be a beautiful way to offer your services to people that actually need them. We all come to this earth, like I said before, with a purpose or with a dharma, a reason for incarnating here on this planet. It is not by chance that we just happen to be here at this moment in time. It is literally written in our birth charts. We can really use things like astrology, like paying attention to the patterns of our life and paying attention to kind of what's evolved in our past, how it's led us to where we are, and how we can use those gifts to turn it into purpose. But you can look into things like astrology and like your birth chart to discover your dharma, to help you figure out maybe why it is that you're here if you aren't discovering your purpose through the work that we've been doing in this video, or if it just feels like you know there's something there, but you don't know exactly what it is or what its purpose is, then you can really start to look into your birth chart and see like how our planets are aligned and see where our signs are placed and then the houses that they're placed, looking at this snapshot of the sky when we were born and really being like, okay, what is this trying to tell me? What are my signs and my placements trying to tell me? And you can do this by looking into your birth chart. All you need is your birth time, birth date, and location. The time of birth is really important, so you want to make sure you have an exact time, if possible, from your birth certificate. And then I have a link below for you that you can go and discover your birth chart. It's really intense to kind of look at it and read, but at the bottom there's kind of a breakdown of what planets are in what houses. And your sun sign is going to be a really beautiful sign for you to look at and find your purpose. Whatever house that sun sign is in is going to give you a lot of information on what your purpose is, as well as your Jupiter placement. Your Mercury is going to be your communication, how you think and how you learn. Obviously, this is super important if you're starting a business because communication is key, and also the information that you're taking in and how you're processing that information in order to share it with other people. So that's your Mercury. Your rising sign or your ascendant is going to be what you project out to others. So the energy that you put out into the world, it's super important to be aware of that energy when it comes to looking at your purpose. That way that you're not putting an energy out that isn't aligning with that overarching purpose that you have. Your Venus rules money and income, and it also rules your divine feminine energy and your relationship. So if you're having money struggles, if you're having a hard time making money in your business, or you're wanting a side hustle for extra income, then you can look at your Venus and be like, what is my relationship to money coming onto this planet? And how can I also use the relationships in my life to cultivate my purpose? And how can I use my divine feminine energy to really increase my empathy, to increase the nurturing and the loving aspect that's really important when we are putting our passions into purpose? Your Mars placement is going to be your action and your masculine energy. So looking at the ways that you work, looking at your work styles, your workflow, and how much energy you are able to output at one time. This is something I definitely want to go into when we discuss cycles and working with the moon and working with our cycles as women. But if you are going against your nature, so in your astrology, if you're going against your Venus and your Mars, which is your divine feminine energy and your divine masculine, or if you're working against your cycles and working against the moon, things are going to feel really tough. And what we want to do is start to create a more flowing process for your passions to cultivate and come through. I want you to stop asking how, and I want you to stop asking when, because when we are so focused on how things are going to happen, when they're going to come through, when they're going to be what we expect them to be, we're suffocating the universe's plan. We are putting expectations on something that we have zero control over. We have zero control over time, and we have zero control over how things are going to unfold. We just don't know. So I want you to really relax into the process and not put pressure on things to look a certain way right away or to happen right away. These things take time. Whatever it is that you are bringing forward in your life through your passions, it's going to take time. Also, you have to be really aware of the no's. So the things that don't light you up, that's why we wrote them down in the beginning. I want you to steer clear of those things. I want you to start listening when your body is giving you a full body yes to something, whether that's an experience, whether that's an opportunity, or if it's a full body no. I want you to start to listen to those intuitive hits. I get them in my stomach if it's a no, and in my chest and it's a no. And then if it's a yes, it's kind of like this light feeling. It kind of feels like I'm floating. And that's my own body signaling to me what I need to be doing. But for you, it might be something different. So paying attention to those things are crucial. The most important part, and I think I've said this about your why, but the most important part, other than your why, is to trust yourself. Because if you don't trust yourself, then the universe isn't going to trust you. And also other people can't trust you as well. So if we wonder why, like, we create these relationships in our life that are dysfunctional, or we wonder why our business isn't working, or we wonder why the things that we desire aren't coming through, it's probably because we're not trusting that we're deserving. It's probably because we don't trust in ourselves enough to either go for them in the first place, or to stick to them, stick to the plan, stick to the action, or we don't trust ourselves to maintain a magical life. A lot of times we expect the worst to happen, and that is the number one way to fail. It's the number one way for us to not get our manifestations. We have to trust ourselves. Even if we have bad days and moments where we feel like all hope is lost, or we feel like, why am I doing this in the first place? Come back to that place of knowing your why, of trusting yourself, of trusting your intuition, and knowing that what you deeply yearn for, the universe already wants to give you. Like, you wouldn't be having these thoughts of changing your life. You wouldn't be having these passions kind of pop in and out of your brain and in your heart, and this purpose, if it wasn't meant for you. So why settle for less than that? Why settle for something that's just kind of like a meh experience when you could have like a firework experience, when you could have like glitter bombs and champagne popping experience, right? No, we're not settling for anything less than that. So your homework for this video is really going to be just integrating everything that we just talked about, integrating your passions into your lifestyle more frequently, starting to discover how maybe you could turn those passions into a career, and actually taking action versus just thinking about it and wondering what would happen if you went for your goals, actually going for them. So what I want you to do is starting to integrate your passions into your life every single day, even if that's in a really small way. So for me, I'm really passionate about being in nature. I try to get out in nature every single day. I'm also really passionate about dancing, so I'm dancing almost every single day. So that's what I mean. I want you to start to integrate your passions. That way that you have something to look forward to every single day. And then I want you to start taking small action steps towards your goals. So one small intentional action step a day. So maybe that is signing up for a website domain, or maybe that's starting your YouTube channel, or maybe that's posting your Instagram video, posting a photo of your art on Instagram. Or maybe an action step is just going to take a class about a specific topic. I think a lot of times we think action steps are these really big things that require a lot of energy and effort, but really, we can take a really small action step to maybe sign up for a course, a photography course, or maybe try to perfect a certain dance move. Whatever it is that you are leaning towards, maybe you're wanting to write a book, maybe you're wanting to ditch a toxic relationship. Those things are big deals that have to be broken down into really small incremental steps, right? You don't want to just put write a book on your to-do list. You want to break them down into action steps. And we are actually going to do that in another video for this month. I want you to start each day with gratitude. This is going to be part of your homework. And the reason is, if we are grateful and we are integrating our passion into our daily life, it's going to feel so good. And I want us to constantly be grateful for what we have, but also have that purpose at top of mind. So when you have your gratitude practice in the morning, and this is all going to be, I'm gonna have a few like rituals and stuff for you babes included in the archive, included in the information for HCH. That way that you have these practices you can go back to and revisit when you forget them. But in your gratitude practice, I want you to start integrating gratitude, 10 gratitudes a day to start your morning. You can do them lying in bed. You can integrate it with your coffee, however you want to do it, just to be reminded to be grateful for what you have. And then I want you to vision your purpose, envision your passion. Maybe you just write that thing or those 5 to 10 things on a sticky note and you look at it every single day. I want it to be top of mind. That way you don't forget your why. You don't forget why you're working towards the things that you're working towards. And then ultimately, I want you to comment in the HCH community what you are committing to. So if you're committing to doing more art, I want you to put that in the community. If you're committing to starting your business, I want you to put that in the community. If you're committed to performing at a showcase or an event, put it in the community, because when we put it out there to more people than ourselves, it holds us accountable. And that's exactly what this membership is about, is holding each other accountable for our dreams and the life that we want. And when we are lit up from the inside out, when we are leading a passion-filled life, it doesn't just impact ourselves. I think a lot of times we feel like it's selfish to go after the things that we want, but you aligning with your purpose, aligning with your passion is impacting the people around you, is impacting the world. Even if you're not selling a product or a service like Heart-Centered Heals, you are still impacting other people with the energy that you're putting out. Because if you're leading from a place of purpose, you're happier, your energy is lighter, and that energy is impacting the world. So just know that by doing this work, it is not selfish at all. It is very much selfless. It is very much about creating a better planet for yourself and for every single person around you. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please comment below if you did like it. I would love to know what takeaways that you had. Put them in the HCH community. That way we can support you and love you and talk about these topics there. I love you, babes, to the moon and back, and I will see you in the next video.